what we experienced in season two from the scripts and the scope of the showrunner that came on board was the world has been expanded. So it's just a vast world. He's gone in so many different directions. That's pretty exciting. So I'm excited for the fans, the hardcore fans, and the new fans new to Halo for what they will take from this.
And Bentley, I know without giving too much away in terms of your own character for the upcoming season, but maybe for viewers that haven't seen Halo before or haven't maybe seen season one, can you tell us about your role in the Halo universe? Who do you play? And dare I say, are you torting on the side of good or evil?
Well, I'll say about my character, right? Okay. So I play a part of a group of super soldiers called Spartans, and we are an elite group of soldiers that we are dispatched to certain missions. Any threat to our planet, which is called Reach, where the headquarters of FleetCom is, we protect Reach. We protect the other colonies around Reach. The less able humans, so to speak, in the indigenous colonies around Reach. We are the Spartans that when the scales are almost tipping over, we show up, and sort of like put things in order. And it's a little bit of a dichotomy because the Spartans are really, the regular people don't know how they feel about the Spartans, So it's not like a one-sided thing, like, oh yeah, Spartans are heroes. They don't know how they feel. Some colonies don't know how they feel about us, They actually, some of them don't really like us that much. But we're like the big brothers that you don't appreciate until you get in a problem with a bully and then he saves you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so Bentley, you're almost talking that sort of super soldier, bringing us back to the time of Jean-Claude Van Damme and the movie Universal Soldier, and in terms of those sort of guys that sort of, dare I say, to projected to be the next level, the next creation as sort of such. And do you sort of, when you're preparing for these sort of roles, Bentley, do you sort of look back on previous history in terms of sci-fi, in terms of roles of super soldiers in the past, or are you very much play the sort of script and the role that has been written for you, or do you like to take inspiration from certain things that have gone before you?
Yeah, well, it's got to be totally honest with this particular character. This is going to be so funny. I actually know people like this in my family. So that was crazy. I said, wait a minute. I know this guy, So that was a little bit easy. But from the iconic franchises that I would say I took something from, it was Terminator. So it was Arnold's Terminator. But Terminator was so stoic and he was not vacuous, but he was very like one-track minded. There wasn't a lot of nuances to his being.
There's no personalities, as what you're trying to say.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like Terminator with a little bit of, dare I say, more charisma.
Yeah.
A little bit more charisma and personality.
Yeah. So you added in your own bit of Dwayne Johnson to the sort of the role in terms of you got your bit of rock on in terms of that. But in terms of the shooting for season 2, Bentley, in terms of from the time you started to the time you wrapped, was the shoot, did it happen? I presume the shoot happened before all the sort of strikes that went on and took place last year. Had you just sort of finished up and had you sort of wrapped up the whole season before everything kicked off? Were you one of the lucky ones, or was there a bit of dare I say, did it mess up the final sort of filming of the final few parts of the season 2?
Yeah, actually, thank you for that question. Season 2, we were really lucky because in season 1, we got caught up with COVID and we had to take 6 months off, a 6-month break in between. So season 1 took almost 2 years to finish. So that was a bit of a, it weighed on us a lot. But with season 2, we had wrapped, and then it was about a month after we wrapped, the strikes, kicked up. But we already kind of knew the strike was coming because a lot of people that were involved in season 2 were directly from LA. So we had there were rumblings about what was going on, and there was a strike. I think the writers were getting ready to do their thing. But right after we finished, the writers' strike happened. And then after that, I think it was a month and a half or so after that, then the actors' strike, went on. So we were lucky to finish in record time. But I will say that finishing in record time was a lot more taxing on the body, with the sequences we had to do and where we had to go, because we had that all crammed up into about, I would say, like 6-7 months. So it was brutal, but it was rewarding. The hardest thing I've ever done, but the most rewarding.
And I suppose, Bentley, coming to work every day in terms of cosplay and role play, I mean, you must be at your element in terms of design and wardrobe. I suppose getting into the costumes is not ever nice, those sort of fittings, and getting to use the body, trying to get comfort in terms of what's on. But it almost brings you into that sort of, you can let yourself go and let the stresses of the world, dare I say, the outside world, creep away from the few hours while you start to live that sort of fantasy world in terms of portraying a sci-fi. And is sci-fi a genre that has that such appeal to you as an actor that it takes you away from the norm, from every day-to-day life, and sort of dare I say, propels you into this sort of alternate world where everything's at ease, dare I say, if you know your lines, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny that you said that, because you took the thoughts right out of my head, right? The costume helps you get into character, because like for us playing the Spartans, especially the Spartans, right? When you get in the costume, you're halfway there. So you'll have whatever you prepped, that costume, once you put it on, and you have 4 of us as a team, and there's just, it's almost like a hole in the wall dungeon down trodden gym, and you just hear metal clanging, and there's no noise, and the costume, the pieces are just coming on, and as soon as you get into full armor, you look yourself in the mirror, you're almost in character, So the costume helped in that vein, but it is very tough. And back to your question about the sci-fi genre, what I like is to tell compelling stories that every single human being can relate to on some level, So sci-fi being a world away from a world, so to speak, I love sci-fi, but I love sci-fi with depth, if you understand what I mean. So there's got to be some sort of human experience to it, Like The Last of Us was a great example of human experience, and regular human beings can relate to characters in a world that's not really the everyday world that they live in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I suppose, Bentley, in terms of motion and in terms of the sort of rhythm of the character, in terms of performing stunts and performing sequences, not even running, but jogging, in terms of having this sort of body armor, in terms of you. Do you almost do your muscles and your body, they have to conjure or conjoint to this sort of feeling? Is it a weird sense? You almost feel like you're in RoboCop, dare I say, in terms of how you're sort of going around on a day-to-day basis, or you're sort of moving your hands and feet like that. And even when you don't have the costume on, does it come habit sometimes you even forget yourself, or you're just thinking, oh God, I got to stop doing that. I'm not wearing the costume anymore.
Now what you just said wants to make me ask you if you've ever been in a costume, because everything you said is absolutely true.
Yeah.
You get out the costume, and then you wake up and you're doing some robotic movements and trying to brush your teeth. And I'm like, wait a minute, right? I'm not in the costume. So everything you said, you literally just saved me about 3 minutes of trying to explain what it's like to be in that costume. It's absolutely right.
I spoke to Robert Burke, who played RoboCop in RoboCop 3, and he was just telling me, like, he used to, even at the breakfast, even to trying to grab food, he would just reach out with the hand open like that, rather than you just normally go like that. He was just, because he felt that he didn't even have fingers, in terms of that, like, so. Yeah, so I imagine performing stunts and having a stunt coordinator in terms of that, and you have probably brilliant stunt coordinators in Halo, but they almost have to sort of, I imagine, sort of redefine. I presume it takes longer when you're doing stunts with costumes and motion effects with lights and cameras, because you're trying to not capture the actor, but you're also trying to capture what he's wearing, and how that sort of looks in screen, rather than how the actor looks. When it's just an actor, it's just all about facial expressions and how the actor sort of moves and twitches his eyes. But with costume, it's a whole different ball game, because we got to see how that sort of plays out and that looks. So I imagine stunts take that much longer.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think when we were shooting in Budapest, Halo was the longest production in the city, and that's part of the reason, because of the action sequences. They take so long. So what happens is we go into the stunt warehouse, and we got casual, clothes on, sportswear, and we're going through certain movements, and I'm thinking, when we get in the costume, we're not gonna be able to do any of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we finished the whole sequence, and I'm looking at the stunt coordinator like, you really think we want to do that? He's like, yeah. And then we get in the costume and we try it again. And we're only able to do about 25% of what we did. So we have to redo everything. So the action, but they're so good. The stunt guys are so good that they can, on the whim, they can make up. And some of those stunt guys, when they get in those costumes and the stuff that they do, and me being in the costume and knowing how difficult it is and seeing what they can do, that was like, I'm like, you guys are aliens, man.
And in terms of, you mentioned about production and shooting in Budapest, and obviously, do you like, as an actor, getting to visit sort of diverse countries away from the random sort of UK, New York, Los Angeles, Canada sort of shoots, to be pitched somewhere in Romania, Eastern Europe, away from the crying eyes, away from the public, where you have sort of that sort of freedom to really sort of divulge and immerse yourself in the concept and the project, where sometimes maybe in Los Angeles and California, it's always, the business never stops, the entertainment sort of never stops, and once you even go home for set, there's something always going on in the pipeline in the background. When you're in countryside in Europe, Romania, it's just you and the project, dare I say, and the actors, or the other actors on set.
That's an amazing question. Funny thing, I just finished a film in Romania, actually, November last year, and exactly what you said. And I did another a bit of a series in Morocco, and we were outside Morocco in a desert, and just like you said, it's you and the character. There's no distractions. The thing that I would say is, as an actor, when you come in the position that you're in and you're telling stories, right? You're going to affect a lot of people. So what I've come to realize is, and a lot of actors struggle with this once they, if they get into something that becomes a huge hit, and they have like fame that they don't know how to deal with, and you're kind of like withdrawn to a certain extent because you think everybody wants a piece of you, but it's part of the job. If you tell a compelling story, you're going to affect a lot of people. So when I go to those big cities, even in a place like Budapest, because Budapest it's a small big city, so it's a big city, but it's small. So you will have people that you would get similar experiences like you would have with fans in the UK or LA. In Budapest, you would get that. So I've learned to give as much of my time as I can, no matter how I feel, because you don't know what effect you're going to have on that person, Yeah.
And I suppose, Bentley, in terms of season 2, I know you can't give away much in terms of storyline, but in terms of teams that we're going to see, are we going to see teams of greed, hate, love, let's say internal sort of struggles? Are we going to see betrayal? Are we going to see acts of huge courageousness or bravery? What sort of themes and concepts are running throughout this season? And dare I say, does it end in one big cliffhanger?
Well, season 2, I would say, first of all, there is a particular character, right, that comes into season 2 that was not in season 1. And this character is the epitome of manipulation and betrayal. Right? So you're gonna see that. That's gonna be served up on a platter. And then you're gonna see acts of sacrifice. I will put it that way, you know? And you will actually see the covenant in a way that you didn't see them in season 1, because the covenant is a very big, formidable antagonist, you know, and they are so much more devastating, and they need to be paid attention to, much more attention than they were paid to in season 1. So they are very formidable and extremely dangerous, and you're going to see some of your favorite Covenant characters in season 2, you know, and then you will see courageous acts. Absolutely, everything we did in season 2 was so much more thrilling and so much more on the edge than season 1. Everywhere we went to, the locations we shot at, when we finished one scene and we thought we had seen it all, 2 days later there was something else, and we were like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing today. So I would say, from my personal experience, season 2 is will get you.
Okay. And
if you don't get it, it will get you.
And Bentley, the penultimate question for you: have you become a fan of the franchise now? Have you bought the computer game? Have you bought your PlayStation, your Xbox, dare I say, and have you sort of tried button bashing yourself, or would you leave that to the younger generation?
You know what? I would say after season 1, I wanted to be so cool and immerse myself in the game, and I got my ass kicked. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss here, but I got my butt handed to me a couple of times, right? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, sometimes you just got to stick to what you're good at, you know?
And I suppose, Bentley Kalu, to turn it over to you now for the final 30 seconds. Why should all our audience, all our viewers, our listeners tune en masse to the release of season 2 of Halo on channel Paramount Plus here in Ireland and the UK? And Bentley Kalu, what's in store for them?
Well, my Irish fans, all my fans around the world, Halo is a beloved franchise. We do our best. We love you guys. We do our best to bring this whole great world into fruition for you. Season 1, we listened to all your feedback. We listened to all your criticisms. We've taken notes, and we're coming back with a bang. You know, season 2 is going to be much bigger, much grittier, much darker. You will see my character Vannak in a different light. A little bit different than you've seen him in season 1. Master Chief, the rest of the Spartans, Halsey, Fleetcom is on the edge, man. You know, and the Covenant, they're coming. So just tune in, and I hope we make you guys proud.
On that note, all that's left from me to say is from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Bentley Kalu. Stay safe, take care, and God bless. We hope it's a prosperous 2024 for you, that we see you on our TV screens and movie screens, not only but in Halo, but in many more projects to come yet. But for the moment, Bentley Kalu, from me, Jim Conlan, take care.
Take care. Thank you, sir.